we're going to take it back in time to 2004, right?
2005.
2005, Super Bowl 40 between the Seattle Seahawks and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yes, this is another Super Bowl featuring the Seattle Seahawks, and it was notorious for being one of the worst officiated Super Bowls in history.
There are three. As this game is 20 years old, we're not going to spend as much time debating these. Pretty much what we want to show you is some of the more controversial calls from that game, and then a quick discussion of were the Seahawks screwed? Because the Seattle Seahawks themselves, a few years ago, even posted some of these clips claiming that they were screwed. So we're going to do an unbiased analysis and figure that out. This first one is from the first quarter. It's an offensive pass interference that took away a touchdown from Seattle. We see Matt Hasselbeck, a name of all names in Seattle, throwing to a touchdown and a late flag from a call that was right in front of the ref. That's kind of what makes this important, is that it's right in front of the ref. We see Hasselbeck immediately arguing, knowing what's to come. And here's just a little bit. We're going to show you kind of why it's called offensive pass interference against Seattle. So there's the call on the field. And again, you see a little bit of an argument there.
Mike Holmgren. Wow, what a throwback
Absolutely.
Here for Seattle.
So here's what we're seeing. Okay, we're seeing Jackson. He comes up. He cuts right. He cuts left. And this is the key here. That arm extension right there.
Do they show another angle here? Or no, they do not.
I think that's about all we got. If you can go, right here, and just go and pause it there if you want to stay on it. We see them both look at the ball, and then we see an arm extension by Jackson right there.
Man.
And that's what they call offensive pass interference. Now, Zach, your face is what Seattle was making on this fateful 2005 night. Tell me your thoughts on this.
I think this is BS. This is so, by the letter of the rule book, I will admit, he did create separation with an arm extension. Yes. But this is so infrequently called. I mean, it reminds me of another call in a Super Bowl that I thought was questionable at the time as well. It was the George Kittle OPI right before halftime in Mahomes' first Super Bowl. I thought that one is very similar to this. Not a ton of extension. It's a one-arm extension, not a two-hand extension, like Amon-Ra St. Brown had versus Jalen Ramsey in the game-losing play against Seattle, which I also thought was soft but defensible. This is just a one-hand, and I don't even think he gets that much separation. So, man, I would not be happy with this call if I was a Seattle fan, coach, player. Oh, man, what do you think? I just don't like it.
You do see it live, and it's so quick that you do see it. You do see that arm separation and that extension. I get it, but I don't like it. I don't think that this is something that should be called because the arm extending is not the reason for the separation, and that's to me why I don't think it's called. I think it was only called because it happened quite literally 5 feet away from the official.
It's really hard.
It's a tough break from Seattle, but I don't agree with the call.
Yeah, and I think that this is interesting because throughout the playoffs, especially this year, I think I've noticed the refs letting the defenders play. It's been a lot more physical, and I don't know how far that goes back because this Super Bowl obviously happened when I was very young. I did not watch it live. You may have, but I did not. And
I did not. I was 4 years away from actually caring enough about the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 44 was my first Super Bowl that I watched live and cared about.
See, mine was Super Bowl 50. And that's because I was a late bloomer. I was a late bloomer into football, if you can recall. But that's neither here nor there.
We're going to have some story time this offseason. I want to figure out how you got all the way to 2015 before watching the Super Bowl. But that's
I was a Lions
fan.
Content. I was a Lions fan. We don't really – the Super Bowl is not a word that you utter in the same breath as, Detroit. But anyway, except for this year.
Unless you're talking about this game, because this game was
talking about this Super Bowl, which was hosted, if you can see the brick back here, at Ford Field. Welcome back. The only time the Super Bowl in Detroit will ever be mentioned in the same breath.
But yeah. All right, so Before we go on to the next clip, though, obviously this was taken on. This is a touchdown taken away from Seattle. Seattle went on to kick a field goal this drive. So if you want to talk about points being cut, we can cut. We can add 4 points to Seattle if you want to kind of keep score that way. We can add 4 points to Seattle, which would make it 21-14 Steelers at this point in time. Before we go to our next clip.
Yeah, but I think they got this one wrong ultimately.
I agree, and that's why I'm going to chalk 4 points up to Seattle for this one.
Gotcha.
But next up, we are going to stay in the first half. This is a third down play, which makes it significant, and it's originally spotted short, but then the second arm of the official goes up, and they rule this a touchdown by Ben Roethlisberger. And we're going to see a sideline shot in just a moment, and I'll have you pause it right when he gets near the goal line. So he's running, he dives, and then he's still short. Bam.
Yeah, this is pretty good, huh?
To me, he breaks the play. This was called a touchdown. If it was called short, it would have been 4th and short. This is 2005, so there's a pretty good chance they kick a field goal and take the points.
Yeah, I mean, and this was pre Mike Tomlin or with Mike Tomlin? Do you remember?
This is pre Mike Tomlin. I believe Bill Cowher's the coach.
Gotcha. I think it's very possible they could go for it from the inch mark in the Super Bowl, but third downs were a lot bigger back then. You're right. There was a huge possibility they take their points in what ended up being a defensive battle anyway. But I do think that they actually get it right here. That Big Ben breaks the plane ever so slightly, and there isn't enough like high quality video evidence to overturn this in those early 2000s cameras. There just wasn't enough definition for me to understand if the ball crossed the plane. Maybe now we'd have a lot more information on this play, but it's just too blurry for me to understand whether to really decipher and concisely say that the ball didn't cross the plane, since this would have to be an overturn, right?
It would have to be an overturn. And this is actually before touchdowns and turnovers were automatically confirmed by the booth. So Seattle actually challenged this play.
That was actually refuted by Al Michaels on the call because this was inside 2 minutes. So it was automatically refuted.
Oh, you're correct. You are correct. You're right. Otherwise, so it did come from the booth then. I do apologize. I'm currently looking to see if I can find what the score was.
The score was 3-0. Seattle led. Here, it's at the beginning of the play.
Seattle. Okay, yeah, you're looking at more detail. Oh, okay. So if he's ruled down, then you can either take the points and tie the game in the second quarter. In what's currently looking to be already, I mean, this is 2 minutes before halftime, so points are rare in this game right now. So I do believe that they take a field goal. But I agree that this is an accurate call. I think he did get the touchdown. I think that ball barely breaks the plane, but nonetheless, it does break the plane. So I'm gonna keep my final score at 21-14 Pittsburgh so far.
Well, it would be 7-3 Pittsburgh. That was the first score of the game for Pittsburgh.
Yes. Yeah. So all right. So when I'm saying the final score, the final score of this game, the final score of the game was 21-10 Pittsburgh.
Got it.
So I'm giving them the touchdown instead of the offensive pass interference. That gives them 4 points because they would have scored instead of kick a field goal. That's where my numbers are coming from.
Got it.
So
okay, that makes sense.
Based on that play, I'm not taking points away from Pittsburgh. I'm going to keep it at 21-14 now instead of 10. But this is the big one too. This is now fourth quarter. We've got 1st and 10. And go ahead and play this clip. We've got 1st and 10. We've got a defender coming in from Hasselback's vision side. But we've got a catch. It's going to be 1st and goal at the 1-yard line now. But instead, there's a hold.
Late flag comes in.
A late flag. But this is kind of a two-part call because Seattle disagrees with the holding call, but they also claim that the Steelers were offsides. And you can't see it on that angle. They do maybe a hold, maybe not.
I think it's a soft hold.
I agree. So that's where Seattle comes from, is it's a soft hold, but they're also claiming that the guy who was being held was offsides, and so that the tackle has his only chance is to kind of hook him. And so I'm sorry, not the guy being held, but you're right there, the nose guard.
Right.
They're claiming the nose guard
and that's
is
pretty
offside
clearly offsides. His hand is on the football. It's in the neutral zone.
I agree. Yes.
This is a botched play. I don't know how you miss an offsides that's that blatant, quite honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And then we look at this hold. I just don't see it. He's got his hand in the chest. He does hook a little bit, but he lets go. He lets go very quickly, and the defender kind of loses his balance because his bend was so severe. I think this is not a hold we see called very often. That's all I'm going to say.
No, not at all. And this is where things get interesting now. What's the score that I currently have?
So if we were to count the Ben Roethlisberger touchdown and also count the Seattle touchdown, it would be 14-14 right now.
No, it would. Well, right then, yes.
At this moment.
But what would my final score be?
21-10.
And then if we give the OPI, it's 21-14.
Right.
Or if we take away the OPI, it's 21-14. Now here's where things get interesting. It would have been 1st and goal at the 1. Instead, it's 1st and goal at the 29. I'm sorry, it's 1st and 20 at the 29. The next play is a sack. The following second down is a 7-yard run. Third down is an interception. So we're looking at an interception versus 1st and goal at the 1. I think Matt Hasselbeck can negotiate a touchdown with 1st and goal at the 1.
I think it's less about Hasselbeck in that situation and more about Sean Alexander. Fair. NFL MVP Sean Alexander.
Seahawks fans, cover your ears. We're talking about a run at the 1-yard line.
What do you think about a slant route right now for the 1-yard line?
Right.
But no.
But all of a sudden, though, if this place, if they don't call OPI and this play stands, we're looking at a possible 21-21 situation.
Yeah.
It's 14-14.
And that doesn't even factor in how different the game would be if Seattle took a 21-14 lead. The pressure would be on for Pittsburgh at this point, who didn't score their first points of the game until a 2-minute drill late in the second half. Clearly, Mike Holmgren's defense has been living up to expectations. And it's a lot different when you're down.
100%. And when I watched the videos about this game, and they had player interviews, NFL.com had a top 10 controversial games or something, and this was on there. A lot of the players talked about the offensive pass interference call being a momentum shift. Because now, all of a sudden, when Pittsburgh scores their touchdown, they're behind instead of tied, or behind instead of in the lead. And they kind of played from behind the rest of the game. As right now we see it's 14. They're down by 4 instead of tied. And they really kind of talked about that call, and then a couple other calls like these ones really just affecting the momentum of the game. And so I don't want to say, I never like saying that the refs cost the game, especially when Hasselbeck did throw at least one interception here. I think he threw a couple interceptions. But Seattle played their best game, and I think at least should have been able to tie the game.
Yeah, I think if I were to rank the calls by awfulness, I think Ben Roethlisberger is actually correct. So good on the refs there. This holding call is second. Obviously, I disagree with it, but I think it rests in the gray area. If you hook a guy and he goes to the ground, I think that it's about 60-40 the ref. 40% the ref throws the flag, 60 he lets it play, right? But that OPI, that's 95-5. 95% of the time it does not get called. I mean, we see players like Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase do that pretty much every time that there's a contested catch situation. And I
agree. And
yeah,
go ahead.
I think it harkens back to exactly what you said. Wrong place, wrong time for that referee to be standing right in front of the infraction. Um,
And even if everything else stands, okay, the Roethlisberger's touchdown stands, this holding call stands here, but we change the offensive pass interference. The score is 14-14. So then when Hasselback throws his interception 3 plays later from now, well, Pittsburgh's now having the ball with a tie. They got to go win it still instead of having the ball in the fourth quarter with a lead.
right, and
And
that
the
doesn't
whole play
even
calling changes, and it forces them to have to be aggressive again.
change the
Like you
fact
said,
that Hasselbeck may not have thrown a pick knowing that he has a field goal in his back pocket. He may have taken care of the
sure,
ball and just went down, and the
sure,
Seahawks lead. But obviously
sure.
that now we're getting extra hypothetical. But that's how
hmm
much this call affected the game.
hmm I
But
feel for Seahawks fan. After going into this, I was like, all right, is it really like I don't like debating holding calls in the second quarter, right? Kind of situation stuff. But after kind of watching all these plays, like I really do feel for Seattle. I think Steelers still could have won, but I do feel for Seattle.
right, I agree, and I do think that there was certainly some poor officiating in this game. Is it the worst Super Bowl officiating job ever? I think we would have to, continue to observe other Super Bowls, but it certainly is
Sure.
up there.
Sure. The last thing I'll say about this, and then we can get into 2025 instead of 2005. But this, to my knowledge, is the only Super Bowl where a ref apologized years later. The
Yeah,
head ref did say years later in an interview that he's had many sleepless nights um, thinking about some of those calls, especially in the fourth quarter, and he might be referencing this exact call right here.